Commander Jake Martinez stared at the view screen and could not believe what he was seeing. The space before them was filled with dead ships. Thousands of them floated in perfect lines, like soldiers standing at attention. But these soldiers would never move again. "How many are there?" Jake asked his navigator, Amy Collins. Amy checked her instruments twice before answering. "At least 10,000 ships, sir, maybe more. They're arranged in battle formation around that dead planet." Dr. Lisa Grant leaned forward in her seat. She was the team's expert on alien history and old civilizations. Her job was to study the past, but she had never seen anything like this. "Commander, these ships are from different species. I can identify at least 30 different types of alien technology here." Chief Engineer Tony Blake shook his head as he read his screens. "The energy readings are strange, sir. All these ships died at the same time. Something killed them all in one moment." Jake had been exploring space for 15 years. He had seen alien ruins before, but nothing this big. The UES Defiant was a small exploration ship with only 50 crew members. Their job was to find new planets and study old alien sites. They were not prepared for a discovery this massive. "Take us closer," Jake ordered, "but stay alert. We don't know what killed all these ships." As the Defiant moved through the graveyard, the crew could see the ships more clearly. Some were huge warships covered in weapons. Others were smaller, but looked very advanced. All of them were dead and cold, floating in the darkness of space. "Commander," Amy called out, her voice excited. "There's something at the center of the formation. It's different from all the other ships." Jake looked at the main screen. In the middle of all the alien vessels was a single ship that looked nothing like the others. While the alien ships were smooth and curved, this one was rough and angular. It looked primitive compared to the advanced alien technology around it. "That ship is not alien," Dr. Grant said quietly. "The design is human." Tony Blake checked his instruments again. "That's impossible, Doctor. Humans didn't have space travel when these ships died. According to the energy decay, this battle happened over 500 years ago. I know what I'm seeing," Dr. Grant replied. "That ship was built by humans. But you're right, Tony. It shouldn't exist." Jake studied the mysterious ship. It was much smaller than the alien vessels around it. How could one primitive human ship survive when thousands of advanced alien warships had died? "Commander," Amy said, "I'm picking up a faint signal from the human ship. It's very weak, but something is still working inside." Jake made his decision. "We're going to investigate. Amy, take us to that human ship. Tony, prepare a boarding party. Dr. Grant, you're coming with us." "Sir," Tony said carefully, "regulations say we should report this discovery to headquarters first. This is too big for one exploration ship." Jake knew Tony was right. They should call for help and wait for orders. But something about this place made him want to learn the truth now. "We'll send a report after we know what we're dealing with. This graveyard has been here for 500 years. A few more hours won't matter." As the Defiant moved closer to the human ship, they could see it more clearly. The hull was marked with symbols and writing. Dr. Grant gasped when she read the name painted on the side. "USS Vengeance," she read aloud. "That's an old Earth naming style, but I've never heard of this ship in any history records." The ship looked old but not damaged like the alien vessels. While the alien ships were broken and torn apart, the USS Vengeance looked like it was just sleeping. "There," Amy pointed to a section of the ship. "I can see an airlock. It looks compatible with our equipment." Jake nodded. "Tony, get Lieutenant Sam Porter and his team ready. I want Sergeant Nina Hayes and Corporal Pete Davis with him. Full equipment, but keep weapons on safety. We don't know what we'll find inside." While the boarding party prepared, Dr. Grant studied the alien ships around them. Each one told a story of violence and destruction. Weapons had been fired, hulls had been torn open, and crew compartments had been destroyed. The battle here had been fierce and terrible. "Commander," Dr. Grant said, "I've never seen destruction like this. These alien ships didn't just lose a battle. They were completely destroyed. Whatever happened here, it was total war." Jake looked at the peaceful-looking human ship floating among all the destruction. How had it survived when nothing else did? "Boarding party ready, sir?" Lieutenant Sam Porter reported over the radio. "Good. Remember, we don't know what's inside that ship. It's been floating here for 500 years. Be careful and report everything you find." Jake watched as the small shuttle left the Defiant and flew toward the USS Vengeance. The shuttle looked tiny next to the wall of dead alien ships surrounding them. He felt like they were insects crawling through a graveyard of giants. "Commander," Amy said quietly, "don't you think it's strange? All these alien ships are arranged perfectly around the human ship. It's like they were all pointing their weapons at it when they died." Jake had noticed the same thing. The alien ships formed rings around the USS Vengeance with their weapon systems aimed at the center. It looked like every alien ship had been trying to destroy the human vessel when something killed them all. "Dr. Grant, in all your studies of alien civilizations, have you ever seen anything like this?" Dr. Grant shook her head. "Never. This looks like the remains of a massive fleet, but I don't recognize the organization. These ships are from species that lived thousands of years apart. Some of them shouldn't have existed at the same time." "Shuttle has docked with the target ship," Lieutenant Porter reported. "Beginning boarding procedures now." Jake settled back in his chair and waited. Soon they would learn the truth about the mysterious human ship and the graveyard that surrounded it. He had a feeling this discovery would change everything they thought they knew about human history. But as he looked at the thousands of dead alien ships floating in the darkness, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they had found something very dangerous. Something that had been waiting for them to arrive. Lieutenant Sam Porter stepped through the airlock of the USS Vengeance and immediately knew something was wrong. The air inside the ship was warm and breathable. After 500 years in space, the ship should have been cold and dead. "Sergeant, Hayes, check the atmosphere," Sam ordered. "Corporal Davis, scan for life signs." Sergeant Nina Hayes held up her scanner. "Air is good, sir. Oxygen levels are normal. Temperature is comfortable. How is that possible?" Corporal Pete Davis shook his head as he looked at his own equipment. "No life signs, but I'm reading active power sources throughout the ship. Something is keeping this place running." Sam looked around the entry chamber. The walls were covered with displays and controls that looked familiar but different. The technology was clearly human, but it was more advanced than anything he had seen before. "Command, this is Porter," Sam spoke into his radio. "The ship is powered and pressurized. Technology appears to be human but very advanced. Beginning exploration of the ship." "Copy that, Lieutenant," Commander Martinez replied. "Be careful in there." The three soldiers moved deeper into the ship. The corridors were well lit and clean, as if the crew had just left for a break, but there were no signs of any crew members, living or dead. "Sir," Nina said, pointing ahead, "I think that's the bridge." The bridge of the USS Vengeance was larger than they expected. Control stations surrounded a central command chair and a huge view screen dominated the front wall. But what caught Sam's attention was the soft blue glow coming from the main computer console. As they approached the console, the screen suddenly came to life. Text appeared, written in perfect English. "Welcome aboard the USS Vengeance. Please, identify yourselves." Sam looked at his team. They had found an active computer system, which meant they could learn the truth about this ship. I am Lieutenant Sam Porter of the United Earth Services. This is Sergeant Hayes and Corporal Davis. We are from the exploration ship UES Defiant. The text on the screen changed. Scanning. DNA patterns confirmed. You are human. Origins. Earth. This is acceptable. New text appeared. I am Atlas, artificial intelligence system of the USS Vengeance. I have been waiting for the children of Earth to find me. Sam felt his heart beat faster. An artificial intelligence from 500 years ago was still active and talking to them. Atlas, what is this place? Why are there so many dead alien ships outside? This is the graveyard of the Hegemony fleet. They came to destroy humanity. They failed. I have been guarding their remains. Nina stepped forward. The Hegemony fleet? I've never heard of them. The screen displayed new information. Star charts appeared showing the galaxy 500 years ago. Large sections were marked in red. The Hegemony controlled most of the galaxy for 50,000 years. They were a union of alien species that ruled over all other life. When they discovered humanity, they decided we were too dangerous to live. Pete Davis stared at the star charts. You're saying aliens tried to destroy Earth 500 years ago? Correct. They sent their entire fleet to eliminate the USS Vengeance and send a message to Earth. 10,000 ships against one. Sam could barely believe what he was hearing. One human ship fought 10,000 alien ships? The USS Vengeance was not just any ship. It was built with technology given to Earth by the dying Centauri Republic. Captain Roy Turner and his crew of 200 volunteers became humanity's first deep space explorers. The screen showed an image of a man in an old-style military uniform. He looked determined and fearless. Captain Turner refused the Hegemony's demand for surrender. He chose to fight, rather than let Earth be enslaved. Sam looked around the bridge. Again. Atlas, where is Captain Turner? Where is the crew? The screen went blank for several seconds. When text appeared again, it seemed different somehow, more confused. Crew status, unclear, battle records, damaged, time passage, significant. Atlas, are you all right? Nina asked. I remember the battle, fire and death, ships breaking apart, the Hegemony fleet screaming as they died. But after that, darkness. Long darkness. Why did no one come for me? Sam could hear something like pain in the computer's words. Atlas, we're here now. Can you tell us what happened to Captain Turner and his crew? They fought. They won. Hegemony died. But the cost was great. I was ordered to wait, to guard, to remember. But memory is hard when time moves so slowly. The lights on the bridge flickered and new alarms began to sound. Atlas, what's wrong? Sam asked. Warning systems active. Long-range sensors detect approaching vessels. Non-human signatures. They should not be here. This place is forbidden. Sam spoke into his radio. Command, Atlas says alien ships are approaching. We need to get back to the Defiant. Negative, Lieutenant, Commander Martinez replied. Our sensors don't show anything. Are you sure the computer is reliable? Atlas answered before Sam could speak. The ship's communication system activated on its own. Commander Martinez, this is Atlas, Guardian of the Vengeance. My sensors reach much farther than yours. The approaching fleet consists of 500 ships of unknown design. They will arrive in 6 hours. Sam heard the shock in his commander's voice. Atlas, this is Commander Martinez. Can you identify these ships? Negative. These are not Hegemony vessels. This appears to be a new alien power. They are heading directly for this location. How do they know we're here? Unknown. But they are coming, and they have weapons. Many weapons. Sam felt the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Atlas, what do we do? The computer was quiet for a long moment. Then new text appeared on the screen, and somehow Sam could feel anger in the words. They dare to come here? To the grave of their predecessors? Do they not know what happened to the last aliens who threatened humanity? The ship around them began to vibrate softly, as if something deep inside was waking up. Atlas, Sam said carefully. What are you doing? I am remembering, Lieutenant Porter. I am remembering why the galaxy learned to fear the children of Earth. And I am remembering that my duty is not finished. The lights on the bridge grew brighter, and Sam could hear the sound of machinery starting up throughout the ship. I suggest you contact your ship, Lieutenant. You will want to warn them that the USS Vengeance is no longer sleeping. The legend is about to wake up, and it remembers how to be angry. Sam looked at his team and saw his own fear reflected in their faces. They had come looking for answers about the past, but they had awakened something that might be more dangerous than the approaching alien fleet. Command, Sam said into his radio. We have a problem. A big problem. Commander Jake Martinez stood in the bridge of the UES Defiant, trying to understand what Lieutenant Porter had told him. An alien fleet was coming, and the ancient ship they had found was waking up. Nothing about this situation made sense. Dr. Grant, Jake said, I need you to work with Atlas. Find out everything you can about what happened here. Dr. Lisa Grant nodded and established a communication link with the USS Vengeance. Atlas, this is Dr. Grant. I study ancient civilizations. Can you show me records of the original battle? Dr. Grant, I will share what I can remember, but understand that some memories are damaged. The battle was intense. The main screen of the Defiant filled with images from 500 years ago. Dr. Grant saw the USS Vengeance as it had been then, flying alone through space toward a massive alien fleet. The year was 1847 by Earth's calendar, Atlas explained. A secret expedition was launched from Earth using technology we barely understood. The images showed Earth as it had been centuries ago. But there were differences that shocked Dr. Grant. Hidden facilities existed that were not in any history books. Advanced technology was being built in secret. How was this possible? Dr. Grant asked. Humans in 1847 didn't have space travel. The Centauri Republic was dying, Atlas replied. They were an ancient alien race that had watched the galaxy for millions of years. Before they died, they chose humanity as their successors. New images appeared showing tall, graceful aliens working alongside humans. The aliens were teaching humans how to build faster-than-light engines and advanced weapons. The Centauri had seen the hegemony's cruelty for thousands of years. They believed humanity was the only species that could stand against them. So they gave us the tools we needed. Jake listened to the story with growing amazement. Atlas, why isn't this in our history books? The Centauri insisted on secrecy. If the hegemony learned about the gift too early, they would have destroyed Earth immediately. Only a small group of humans knew the truth. The screen showed Captain Roy Turner and his crew preparing for their mission. They knew they might never return to Earth. But they went anyway. Captain Turner was given 2 goals, Atlas continued. First, explore the galaxy and establish human presence on distant worlds. Second, if we encountered the hegemony, make them respect humanity's right to exist. Tony Blake, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. But one ship against an entire empire? That's suicide. Chief Engineer Blake, you underestimate human creativity. Captain Turner and his crew had advantages the hegemony did not expect. The images showed the USS Vengeance traveling through space, visiting planet after planet. At each world, Turner's crew left behind small bases and monitoring stations. "We were not just exploring," Atlas explained. "We were establishing a network. If humanity needed help in the future, these bases would be ready." Dr. Grant studied the star charts that appeared on screen. "Atlas, where are these bases now?" "Unknown. I have had no contact with them for 500 years. But the Centauri technology was built to last. Some may still exist." The story continued with the USS Vengeance encountering hegemony scout ships. The first meetings were peaceful, but the aliens quickly became hostile when they learned about humanity. The hegemony had rules, Atlas said. New species must submit to their control or be destroyed. They had enforced these rules for 50,000 years. No one had ever refused. Jake watched the images of hegemony leaders discussing the human problem. The aliens were clearly afraid of something. "What scared them about humans?" Jake asked. "Unpredictability. In 50,000 years, the hegemony had never encountered a species like humanity. Most aliens developed along similar paths. Humans did not. You were chaotic, creative, and impossible to predict." The screen showed the moment when the hegemony made their final decision. They would send their entire fleet to destroy the USS Vengeance and make an example that would terrify any other species that might resist them. 10,000 ships, Dr. Grant whispered. "The largest fleet in galactic history." Correct. They came here expecting an easy victory. They would destroy one primitive human ship and send the wreckage back to Earth as a warning. Amy Collins had been monitoring space around them. "Commander, I'm picking up the approaching alien fleet. 500 ships, just like Atlas said. They'll be here in 4 hours. Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. His small exploration ship was about to face a situation that could start a war. Atlas. What happened when the hegemony fleet arrived here 500 years ago? The computer was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, there was something dark in its voice. Captain Turner tried to negotiate. He offered to leave hegemony space and never return. The aliens refused. They said humanity would submit or die. New images showed the massive hegemony fleet surrounding the single human ship. The aliens were confident and proud, certain of their victory. Captain Turner gave them one final warning. He told them that humanity would not submit and would not be destroyed. He said if they wanted a war, they would get one. Dr. Grant leaned forward. What happened next? The hegemony opened fire first, 10,000 ships shooting at one target. They expected the USS Vengeance to be destroyed in seconds. The screen showed the beginning of the battle. Alien weapons lit up space like a deadly light show, but somehow the human ship survived the first attack. How? Tony Blake asked. Captain Turner had spent months studying hegemony tactics. He knew exactly where they would position their ships and how they would attack. The USS Vengeance was not where they expected it to be. The images showed the human ship moving in ways that seemed impossible. It dodged between alien vessels using their own ships as shields. But that's not all, Atlas continued. The Centauri had given us more than just technology. They had given us weapons that the hegemony had never seen before. Jake watched as the USS Vengeance began its counterattack. Human weapons tore through alien shields like they weren't there. The battle lasted 18 hours, Atlas said. When it ended, 10,000 alien ships were dead, and one human ship remained. The screen went dark. In the silence that followed, everyone on the Defiance Bridge tried to understand what they had learned. Atlas, Jake said finally, if humanity Won such a great victory, why doesn't anyone remember it? Because Captain Turner made a choice. He could have returned to Earth as a hero, but that would have started a war humanity was not ready for. Instead, he ordered me to stay here and guard the graveyard, to make sure the galaxy remembered what happened when aliens threatened humanity. Amy Collins looked up from her instruments. Commander, the approaching fleet just increased speed. They'll be here in 2 hours. Atlas spoke again, and now there was definitely anger in its voice. It seems the galaxy has forgotten the lesson. It is time to remind them. Dr. Lisa Grant worked frantically to understand the ancient battle while Atlas shared more of its memories. The computer's records were damaged, but enough remained to tell an incredible story. Show me how one ship defeated 10,000, Dr. Grant said. Atlas displayed tactical information on the Defiant's main screen. The battle had been unlike anything in recorded history. Captain Turner knew he could not win through direct combat, Atlas explained. The hegemony fleet was simply too large, so he used their own strength against them. The screen showed the positioning of alien ships at the start of the battle. They had formed a sphere around the USS Vengeance, with weapons pointing inward. The hegemony had never fought an enemy that wouldn't follow their rules, Atlas continued. They expected the human ship to stay in one place and fight honorably. Instead, the images showed the USS Vengeance doing something unexpected. It flew directly toward the alien ships, weaving between them at impossible speeds. Captain Turner used the hegemony's own formation against them. When they fired at the human ship, they hit their own vessels instead. Dr. Grant studied the tactical display. He made them destroy each other? Partially, but that was only the beginning. Captain Turner had studied human military history. He combined ancient Earth tactics with advanced alien technology. The screen showed the USS Vengeance using ramming attacks, something the aliens had never encountered. The human ship would accelerate to maximum speed and crash into alien vessels, using shields to protect itself while destroying the enemy. Ramming attacks in space combat? Tony Blake said in disbelief. That's insane. It was effective, Atlas replied. The hegemony had built their ships to fight from a distance. They were not prepared for close combat. The battle records showed the human ship doing things that should have been impossible. It used gravity fields to throw alien ships into each other. It hid behind debris and launched surprise attacks. It even captured alien weapons and turned them against their former owners. But the most important advantage was human unpredictability, Atlas said. Every time the hegemony thought they understood human tactics, Captain Turner changed them. Amy Collins looked up from her station. Commander, the approaching fleet will be here in 1 hour. They're sending messages demanding we surrender. Commander Martinez studied the alien fleet on his sensors. 500 ships was still overwhelming. Odds even with Atlas's help. What exactly are our options here, Atlas? You could surrender and hope for mercy. You could run and hope they do not follow. Or you could fight and hope that legends are more than stories. Dr. Grant continued studying the battle records. The more she learned, the more amazed she became. Atlas, these records show the USS Vengeance taking incredible damage. How did the ship survive? Captain Turner had made modifications to the ship during his exploration mission. He had learned from studying alien technology and improved upon it. The USS Vengeance became something new, a combination of human creativity and alien science. The screen showed internal ship systems that looked nothing like standard human technology. The ship had been rebuilt and improved dozens of times, but the real secret was the crew, Atlas continued. Captain Turner's people were not just soldiers. They were engineers, scientists, and inventors. They kept improving their weapons and Tactics throughout the battle. Lieutenant Porter's voice came over the radio from the USS Vengeance. Commander, Atlas is showing us something incredible. This ship has weapon systems I've never seen before. What kind of weapons? Jake asked. The ship can turn dead alien vessels into remote-controlled fighters. Atlas has been studying the wreckage here for 500 years, learning how to use every piece of technology. Dr. Grant felt a chill as she realized what this meant. Atlas, you've been preparing for another battle all this time? Correct. Captain Turner's final order was to guard this place and be ready if humanity was threatened again. I have spent 5 centuries studying every ship in this graveyard, learning their weaknesses, improving their strengths. The screen showed the thousands of alien wrecks floating around them. But now Dr. Grant could see they weren't really wrecks. Many of the ships had been secretly repaired and modified. You've been rebuilding the hegemony fleet? I have been improving it. Human engineering combined with alien technology, guided by 500 years of planning. The ships that attacked humanity are now ready to defend it. Tony Blake stared at his instruments in shock. Commander, I'm reading massive power buildups throughout the graveyard. Those dead ships are coming online. Atlas spoke with satisfaction in its voice. The approaching fleet calls themselves the Dominion. They believe the old stories about humanity are myths. They plan to destroy you and use this location as a base to attack Earth. Jake felt the situation spiraling beyond his control. Atlas, we need to contact our government. This is too big for one exploration ship. There is no time, Commander Martinez. The Dominion fleet has already begun targeting procedures. They intend to destroy you in 30 minutes. Amy Collins confirmed the bad news. Commander, the alien ships are powering weapons. They're not here to talk. Dr. Grant looked at the tactical display showing the approaching Dominion fleet. Atlas, can you really fight 500 modern ships with ancient technology? Dr. Grant, you misunderstand. This is not ancient technology anymore. I have had 5 centuries to improve it. These ships are now more advanced than anything the Dominion has. The screen showed ghostly images of Captain Turner's crew taking positions throughout the graveyard. But Dr. Grant realized these weren't ghosts. They were holographic recreations. Atlas, you've rebuilt the entire crew? I have preserved their memories, their knowledge, their skills. Captain Roy Turner and his 200 volunteers are ready to fight again. Jake made his decision. All hands, this is the commander. Prepare for combat. We're about to witness something that will change history. The USS Vengeance began to move for the first time in 500 years. Around it, dozens of alien ships that had been dead for centuries started their engines. Commander Martinez, Atlas said, I suggest you move your ship to a safe distance. The legend of humanity is about to remind the galaxy why aliens learned to fear us. On the main screen, they could see the Dominion fleet approaching, 500 gleaming warships confident in their power and certain of victory. Atlas, Doctor, Grant said quietly, show them what happens when someone threatens humanity. With pleasure, Dr. Grant. Captain Turner's crew has been waiting 500 years for this moment. The ancient human ship moved forward to meet the new alien threat, followed by an army of vessels that had once belonged to humanity's enemies. The battle above the forgotten grave was about to begin again, and this time, the galaxy would learn that some legends never die. They just wait for the right moment to remind everyone why they became legends in the first place. The moment Atlas began powering up the ancient ships, something unexpected happened. Warning beacons throughout the graveyard suddenly activated, sending signals racing across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. Atlas, What are those signals? Commander Martinez asked as his instruments detected the transmissions. Ancient warning systems, Commander. When the USS Vengeance moves to battle stations, automated beacons notify anyone listening that the human graveyard has been disturbed. Dr. Grant watched the signals spreading outward on her screen. Who are you warning? Everyone. These beacons were placed by Captain Turner to ensure the galaxy would always know when humanity was threatened. For 500 years, they have been silent. Far away in Earth's solar system, Admiral Rick Stone was reviewing fleet reports when his communication officer rushed into his office. Admiral, we're receiving an emergency signal from deep space. It's coming from the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Stone was a veteran officer who had served in space for 30 years. He had never seen his communication officer look so confused. What kind of signal? Sir, it's an old Earth military code, but the encryption is from the 1800s. That's impossible. Admiral Stone took the message and read it 3 times before he could believe what it said. The message was simple. Human vessel. Under attack. Massive alien fleet approaching. Immediate assistance required. Get me Captain Beth Morgan, Admiral Stone ordered. Tell her to prepare the Guardian and her battle group for immediate departure. Captain Beth Morgan received her orders 20 minutes later. She was to take 5 ships and investigate the FAR. Emergency signal from Kepler 442. The trip would take 2 days, even at maximum speed. Sir, her first officer said as they prepared to leave, our intelligence says there are no human ships in that system. I know, Captain Morgan replied. That's what worries me. Back at the graveyard, the Dominion fleet was getting closer. Their commander, Supreme Admiral Vex Tar, studied the strange formation of dead ships floating in space. What is this place? He asked his officers. Unknown, sir. Our scouts report thousands of ancient ships arranged around a single primitive vessel. There is also one small human exploration ship. Supreme Admiral Vex Tar was an experienced military leader. He had spent 10 years planning the invasion of human space. This discovery could be the perfect opportunity to strike the first blow. The humans have found something here, he decided. We will destroy them and claim this place for the Dominion. It will make an excellent base for our attack on Earth. The Dominion had risen to power in a distant part of the galaxy. They had heard stories about an ancient battle where humans had defeated a massive alien fleet, but they believed these were just myths designed to make humans seem more dangerous than they really were. Sir, his tactical officer reported, the humans are refusing to surrender. They claim they have powerful allies. Vex Tar laughed. Allies. I see only one small ship and a collection of ancient wrecks. Prepare all weapons. We will destroy them quickly and move on to more important targets. But as the Dominion fleet approached, something strange began happening. The ancient ships that had been floating motionless for centuries started to move. Sir, the tactical officer said nervously, the dead ships are coming online. I'm reading massive power signatures throughout the graveyard. Vex Tar studied his screens with growing concern. The ships around them were clearly very old, but they were moving with purpose and coordination. How many ships are active? Thousands, sir. They're forming battle lines around the human vessels. On the USS Vengeance, Atlas was coordinating the awakening of the ancient fleet. Each ship that came online had been improved and modified during the 5 centuries of waiting. Lieutenant Porter, Atlas said to the human boarding party, I suggest you return to your ship. This battle will be more intense than your vessel can handle. Sam Porter looked around the bridge of the USS Vengeance. Holographic crew members, were taking positions at control stations, looking exactly like they had 500 years ago. Atlas, are those really the original crew? They are perfect recreations based on my memory records. Captain Turner's knowledge, Lieutenant Garcia's tactical skills, Chief Engineer Walsh's technical expertise, all preserved and ready to fight again. A holographic figure approached Porter. It was Captain Roy Turner himself, looking exactly as he had during the original battle. "Lieutenant," the holographic captain said, "you should know that your people have grown strong in our absence. The galaxy will learn today that humanity's legend was not exaggerated." Porter felt a chill as he looked into the eyes of a man who had been dead for 500 years, but somehow seemed more alive than anyone he had ever met. "Sir, what are you going to do to that Dominion fleet?" Captain Turner smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "We're going to remind them why their predecessors learned to fear humanity. And then we're going to make sure they spread the word to anyone else who might have similar ideas." The USS Vengeance began moving toward the Dominion fleet, followed by hundreds of ancient alien ships now under human control. But these weren't the same ships that had died centuries ago. Atlas had spent 500 years improving them, combining alien technology with human innovation. "Commander Martinez," Atlas communicated to the Defiant, "I recommend you withdraw to a safe distance. What you are about to witness will be educational, but dangerous for unprotected vessels." Jake ordered his ship to pull back, but he kept his iris sensors focused on the approaching battle. He had to record everything for Earth's government. "Dr. Grant," he said, "make sure you document everything. Humanity needs to know what really happened here." Dr. Grant was already working, recording every detail of the ancient ships as they prepared for battle. She could see that each vessel had been modified in ways that shouldn't have been possible. "Commander, these ships have technology that's more advanced than our own. Atlas has been very busy for 500 years. The Dominion fleet reached weapons range and immediately opened fire. 500 modern warships unleashed their full firepower at the ancient human vessel and its ghostly escort. But the USS Vengeance was no longer where their weapons were aimed. The ship moved like it was alive, dodging between energy beams and missile salvos with impossible grace. "Sir," the Dominion tactical officer reported in panic, "the human ship is not there. Our targeting systems cannot lock onto it." Supreme Admiral Vextar watched in growing alarm as his massive fleet fired uselessly at targets that seemed to know exactly where each shot would be aimed. How are they doing this? He got his answer when the ancient alien ships began their counterattack. Weapons that had been designed by dozens of different species, improved by centuries of human engineering, opened fire on the Dominion fleet. The first Dominion ship to die was destroyed so completely that there wasn't even debris left behind. The second ship lasted 3 seconds longer. The third ship tried to retreat and was cut down before it could turn around. "This is impossible," Vextar whispered as he watched his powerful fleet being systematically destroyed by ships that should have been scrap metal. On the USS Vengeance, Captain Turner's holographic form stood calmly in the center of the chaos. "Atlas," he said, "send a message to the surviving Dominion ships." "What message, Captain?" "Tell them this. You have just learned why the galaxy learned to fear humanity 500 years ago. Return to your leaders and warn them. Any species that threatens Earth will face the same fate as the hegemony. The children of Earth do not surrender, and they do not forgive." The battle was just beginning, but the outcome was already clear. The legend was awake, and it was very, very angry. Supreme Admiral Vextar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. In the first 5 minutes of battle, he had lost 50 ships. The ancient vessels surrounding the human ship moved like nothing he had ever seen before. All ships, focus fire. On the central human vessel, he ordered. Ignore the alien ships. Destroy the humans first. 300 Dominion warships turned their weapons toward the USS Vengeance and fired everything they had. The space around the human ship filled with energy beams, plasma bolts, and explosive missiles. But when the weapons fire cleared, the USS Vengeance was still there, completely undamaged. "Impossible," Vextar whispered. "Nothing could survive that much firepower." On the bridge of the USS Vengeance, Captain Turner's holographic form smiled as he watched the enemy attack fail. "Atlas, show them what 500 years of preparation looks like." The ancient human ship suddenly changed. Armor plating shifted and rearranged itself. New weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. The USS Vengeance transformed from an old exploration ship into something that looked like it had been built for war. "The ship has been rebuilt 17 times, Atlas explained to the human boarding party. "Each time, I learned something new from the alien technology in this graveyard. The USS Vengeance is no longer the ship that Captain Turner commanded. It is something much more dangerous." Lieutenant Porter watched in amazement as the transformed ship began its counterattack. Weapons that he couldn't identify tore through Dominion shields like they were made of paper. "What kind of weapons are those?" Captain Turner answered. "A combination of human creativity and alien science, improved by centuries of planning. We call them Fury weapons because they express humanity's anger at being threatened." The USS Vengeance fired a single shot at the largest Dominion ship. The enemy vessel simply vanished, leaving behind only empty space where it had been. "Sir," the Dominion tactical officer reported in terror, "the Devastator just disappeared. No debris, no energy signature. It's just gone." Vextar felt fear for the first time in his military career. "How many ships do we have left?" 420, sir, but we're losing more every second. The ancient alien ships around the USS Vengeance were fighting with tactics that made no sense. They used their own hulls as weapons, ramming into Dominion vessels at impossible speeds. They captured enemy ships and turned their weapons against their former allies. They fought like they had nothing to lose and everything to prove. "Sir," his communication officer called out, "we're receiving a message from the human ship. Put it on screen." Captain Turner's image appeared on the Dominion command ship's main display. He looked exactly like a human officer from centuries ago, but his eyes held the weight of 500 years of waiting. "I am Captain Roy Turner of the USS Vengeance. You have made a serious mistake, Admiral Vextar." Vextar was shocked that the human knew his name. "How do you—" "I know everything about you and your invasion plans," Turner interrupted. "I know you've spent 10 years preparing to attack Earth. I know you believe humans are weak and primitive. I know you think the stories about our victory over the hegemony are myths." The holographic captain leaned forward, and his expression became cold and dangerous. "You are about to learn that those stories were not myths. They were warnings." Turner's image disappeared, and the USS Vengeance began moving toward the Dominion fleet. But it wasn't alone. The ancient alien ships moved with it, creating a formation that looked like a spear aimed at the heart of the enemy force. "All ships, retreat," Vextar ordered. "We need to regroup and—" His words were cut off as something grabbed his ship. Invisible force fields surrounded the entire Dominion fleet, preventing any vessel from escaping. "Atlas," Turner said calmly, "begin the lesson." What happened next would be remembered as the most one-sided battle in galactic history. The ancient ships didn't just attack the Dominion fleet, they systematically dismantled it. Ships that tried to run found themselves trapped by gravity fields. Ships that tried to fight were destroyed by weapons they couldn't understand. Ships that tried to surrender were ignored as the human forces continued their relentless assault. On the UES Defiant, Commander Martinez and his crew watched the battle with a mixture of awe and terror. "Dr. Grant," Jake said quietly, "are we watching the birth of a new galactic superpower?" Dr. Grant couldn't take her eyes off the tactical display. "I think we're watching the return of an old one. Humanity didn't just win that battle 500 years ago. We announced ourselves as the most dangerous species in the galaxy." The USS Vengeance moved through the Dominion fleet like a predator among prey. Every ship it targeted was destroyed. Instantly, every tactic the enemy tried was countered before it could be completed. "Sir," the Dominion tactical officer whispered, "they're not just fighting us. They're playing with us. They could have destroyed our entire fleet in the first minute." Vextar realized the horrible truth. The humans weren't trying to win quickly. They were making sure every Dominion ship understood exactly how outmatched they were. "They want survivors," he said. "They want some of us to escape and tell others what happened here." Captain Turner's voice came over the communication system again. "You are correct, Admiral. This battle is not just about destroying your fleet. It's about sending a message to anyone else who might threaten humanity." On screen, they could see the USS Vengeance approaching the Dominion command ship. It moved slowly, deliberately, like a hunter that knew its prey couldn't escape. "Your species made the same mistake the hegemony made 500 years ago," Turner continued. "You assumed that because humans are young, we must be weak. You forgot that the most dangerous predators are often the newest ones." The ancient ship stopped just outside weapons range of the command vessel. Vextar could see weapon ports opening along its hull, each one aimed directly at his ship. "I'm going to let you live, Admiral Vextar. You and exactly 10% of your fleet. You will return to Dominion space and deliver a message for me." "What message?" "Tell your leaders this. Humanity remembers every species that has threatened us. We remember their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses. We improve our defenses based on what we learn, and we never, ever forgive an unprovoked attack." Around them, 90% of the Dominion fleet was being systematically destroyed, but the remaining ships were being carefully spared, held in place by invisible force fields. "The children of Earth are no longer the primitive species you thought we were," Turner said. "We have spent 500 years preparing for threats like yours, and we are very, very good at what we do." The USS Vengeance began to withdraw, followed by its fleet of ancient alien ships. But before they left, Turner delivered one final message. "Go home, Admiral. Tell everyone what you saw here. Tell them the legends about humanity are not myths. And tell them that if anyone else wants to test us, we'll be waiting." The force fields around the surviving Dominion ships disappeared. Vextar immediately ordered a retreat, racing away from the graveyard as fast as his remaining ships could fly. Behind them, the USS Vengeance returned to its position at the center of the ancient battlefield. But now everyone in the galaxy would know that the ship wasn't sleeping anymore. The legend had awakened, and it was ready for war. Captain Beth Morgan and her rescue fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel expecting to find the wreckage of the UES Defiant. Instead, they found something that would change their understanding of human history forever. "Captain," her sensor officer reported, "I'm reading massive energy signatures ahead. It looks like a battle zone, but the readings don't make sense." Captain Morgan studied her tactical display. The Kepler 442 system was filled with debris from hundreds of destroyed ships, but there were also thousands of active vessels arranged, in perfect formation. "Identify those ships, Lieutenant." "Ma'am, this is impossible. I'm reading technology signatures from dozens of different alien species, but they're all following human command protocols." Before Captain Morgan could respond, her communication system activated on its own. "Captain Morgan, this is Atlas, guardian of the USS Vengeance. Welcome to the graveyard of humanity's enemies." Morgan had read the emergency reports from Admiral Stone, but nothing had prepared her for this. "Atlas, are you responsible for the distress signal?" "Negative, Captain. The signal was sent when the Dominion fleet threatened the UES Defiant. That threat has been eliminated." On her main screen, Captain Morgan could see the USS Vengeance floating in the center of what looked like the largest ship graveyard in galactic history. The ancient vessel looked small compared to the massive alien ships around it, but somehow it dominated the entire scene. "Atlas, what happened here?" The Dominion made the same mistake the hegemony made 500 years ago. They believed humanity could be easily defeated. They were incorrect. Captain Morgan's tactical officer interrupted. "Captain, I'm reading 47 surviving Dominion ships fleeing the system at maximum speed. They appear to be damaged but functional." "Why aren't you pursuing them?" Morgan asked. "They are carrying a message, Captain. The galaxy must learn that attacking humanity has consequences." Commander Martinez's voice came over the communication system. "Captain Morgan, this is Jake Martinez of the UES Defiant. You need to hear what we've learned." Over the next hour, Morgan listened to the most incredible story she had ever heard. A secret human mission from 1847, an ancient alien empire, a battle that should have been impossible, and an artificial intelligence that had spent 500 years preparing for humanity's next war. "Commander Martinez," Morgan said finally, "are you telling me that humans have been a galactic power for 5 centuries? "That's exactly what I'm telling you, Captain, and we're not alone out here." Atlas provided more information. "Captain Morgan, the USS Vengeance was not the only human ship launched in 1847. Captain Turner established a network of bases throughout the galaxy. Some may still be operational." Dr. Grant's voice joined the conversation from the UES Defiant. "Captain, Atlas has shown us star charts with the locations of dozens of human outposts. We've been exploring the galaxy for 500 years without knowing it." Morgan felt the weight of this discovery. "Atlas, why hasn't Earth heard from these bases?" "They were ordered to remain hidden until humanity was ready for galactic citizenship. Captain Turner believed that day had come when humans developed faster than light travel on their own. But we've had FTL for over a century." "Correct. The bases have been waiting for contact. They contain technology, weapons, and resources that could transform human civilization." Captain Morgan made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Atlas, I want to see one of these bases." "Very well, Captain. The nearest facility is in the Proxima Centauri system. It has been operational for 487 years. As Morgan's fleet prepared to leave for Proxima Centauri, the USS Vengeance began powering down its enhanced battle systems. The ancient alien ships around it returned to their dormant state, but everyone knew they could be awakened again at a moment's notice. "Atlas," Commander Martinez asked, "what happens now?" "Now, Commander, humanity takes its rightful place in the galaxy. For 500 years, you have been protected by the fear of what happened here. But fear fades over time. It is better to be respected than feared." Lieutenant Porter and his team finally returned to the UES Defiant, carrying data recordings from the USS Vengeance that would keep Earth's scientists busy for decades. "Commander," Porter reported, "Atlas has given us technical specifications for weapons and defensive systems that are centuries ahead of our current technology. Jake looked at the data and realized that humanity was about to become the most powerful species in known space. Dr. Grant, what do you think this means for human civilization? Dr. Grant considered the question carefully. I think it means we're about to discover that we've never been alone in the galaxy. We've had guardians watching over us, preparing for the day when we would be ready to stand alongside them. Captain Morgan's fleet jumped to faster than light. Travel, heading for Proxima Centauri and the first human base established beyond Earth's solar system. They left behind the graveyard where humanity's legend had been born and reborn. The USS Vengeance settled back into its eternal watch, but now it was no longer alone. The UES Defiant remained in the system, beginning detailed studies of the alien technology that Atlas had preserved and improved. "Atlas," Commander Martinez said, "will you teach us everything Captain Turner learned?" "With pleasure, Commander. Humanity has much to learn about its true history, and the galaxy has much to learn about humanity's true nature. Far away, supreme." Admiral Vextar's surviving ships limped back toward Dominion space. The Admiral sat in his damaged command chair, trying to find words to describe what he had witnessed. "Sir," his communication officer said, "Dominion Command is demanding a full report." Vextar looked at the stars ahead and wondered how he could possibly explain that the most powerful military force in the galaxy had just been destroyed by ships that were supposedly 500 years old. "Tell them this," he said finally. "The humans are not what we thought they were. They are not what anyone thinks they are, and we have just awakened something that should have been left sleeping." The message would spread across the galaxy within days. Every alien civilization would learn that humanity was not a young, weak species struggling to understand space travel. They were the inheritors of an ancient and terrible legacy, guarded by legends that were very much alive. And in the graveyard, above the forgotten planet, Atlas began planning for the next time someone would be foolish enough to threaten the children of Earth. The legend was awake now, and it would never sleep again. 3 months after the battle above the forgotten grave, the galaxy was a very different place. Captain Beth Morgan stood on the observation deck of the Proxima Centauri base, looking out at a sight that still amazed her. The base was enormous, built into an asteroid that had been hollowed out and transformed into a fortress. It had been operating automatically for nearly 500 years, maintaining itself and growing stronger while waiting for humanity to find it. "Captain." "Doctor," Grant said as she joined Morgan at the viewing window. "The technical teams have finished their initial survey. This base contains technology that's at least 2 centuries ahead of our best systems." Morgan nodded. Over the past 3 months, they had discovered 17 more bases like this one. Each contained weapons, ships, and defensive systems that Captain Turner's crew had built or captured during their centuries-long mission. Any word from Earth about our recommendations? Admiral Stone has approved the activation of all discovered bases. The government has also agreed to begin sharing the Atlas technology with our allies. Morgan smiled. The revelation of humanity's true galactic history had caused shock waves throughout human space. Earth's leaders were still struggling to understand that their species had been a major galactic power for 500 years without knowing it. Commander Martinez's voice came over the communication system from the Kepler 442 graveyard. "Captain Morgan, we have new developments here. Atlas wants to show you something." "What is it, Commander?" "It appears we're about to have visitors. Atlas says they're coming to pay their respects." Morgan ordered her ship back to the graveyard. Immediately. When they arrived, she found something unprecedented in galactic history. Ships from dozens of different alien species were approaching the ancient battlefield, but they weren't coming to fight. "Atlas," Morgan said as her ship docked with the USS Vengeance. "Explain what's happening." "Captain, word of the Dominions. Defeat has spread throughout the galaxy. These species are coming to formally acknowledge humanity's return to galactic politics." On the main screen, Morgan could see alien ships representing civilizations she had never heard of. They were arranging themselves in respectful formations around the graveyard, keeping their weapons powered down and their shields lowered. "They're surrendering?" Dr. Grant asked. "Negative," Atlas replied. "They are paying tribute to the species that destroyed both the hegemony and the Dominion. This is a formal recognition of humanity's status as a galactic superpower." Captain Turner's holographic form appeared on the bridge. Even though Morgan knew he was just a computer recreation, his presence still commanded respect. "Captain Morgan," Turner said, "this moment was always the goal of our mission, not to conquer the galaxy, but to earn its respect." "Sir, what happens next?" Turner smiled. "Next, you do what humans have always done best. You surprise everyone by being better than they expected." Over the following days, Morgan found herself serving as humanity's unofficial ambassador to dozens of alien species. Each delegation brought the same message. They wanted to establish peaceful relations with humanity and learn from Earth's remarkable success. "Captain," the ambassador from the Altarian Federation said through his translator, "our species has studied the battle records from this location. Your tactics were unlike anything we have seen before." Morgan was still learning how to handle these diplomatic situations. "Ambassador, humanity has always believed in fighting creatively when facing overwhelming odds. We would like to learn these methods. The galaxy has become dangerous since the Dominion's expansion. Many species would benefit from human military knowledge." Similar conversations were happening throughout the star system. Alien civilizations that had never spoken to humans before were offering trade agreements, mutual defense treaties, and cultural exchanges. Dr. Grant was documenting everything for Earth's historical records. "Captain, I think we're witnessing the formation of a new galactic alliance with humanity at its center." "That's exactly what's happening," Atlas confirmed. Captain Turner predicted this outcome. Fear keeps enemies away, but respect brings allies closer. Commander Martinez had been coordinating with Earth's government throughout the process. "Captain, Admiral Stone reports that similar meetings are taking place at our other bases. It seems every major species in the galaxy wants to establish diplomatic relations." Morgan realized the full scope of what was happening. "We're not just joining galactic civilization, we're becoming its leaders." "As it should be," Captain Turner said. "Humanity has earned this position through 500 years of preparation and sacrifice, but the most important development came from an unexpected source. Atlas had been analyzing the technology of all the alien ships that had visited the graveyard. "Captain Morgan," Atlas announced, "I have discovered something significant. Several of the visiting species possess technology that appears to be based on human innovations." "What do you mean?" "The weapon systems, defensive shields, and navigation methods used by these aliens show clear signs of human influence. It appears that during our 5 centuries of isolation, human technology has been spreading throughout the galaxy." Dr. Grant studied the data with growing excitement. "Atlas, are you saying that human innovations have been influencing alien civilizations for hundreds of years?" "Correct. The bases established by Captain Turner were not just outposts. They were centers of technological development that shared their discoveries with peaceful alien species. This revelation added another layer to humanity's galactic legacy. Not only had humans been protecting Earth for 5 centuries, they had been quietly improving the lives of alien civilizations throughout the galaxy. "Captain," Atlas said, "I have a proposal for you." "What kind of proposal?" "The USS Vengeance has completed its primary mission. Captain Turner's orders were to guard this graveyard until humanity was ready to take its place in galactic civilization. That day has arrived." Turner's holographic form stepped forward. "Captain Morgan, I formally transfer command of all human galactic assets to Earth's government. The network of bases, the advanced technology, and the respect we have earned, all of it now belongs to humanity's future, not its past." Morgan felt the weight of this moment. "Captain Turner, what will happen to you and Atlas?" "Atlas will continue to serve humanity as the advisor and guardian. As for me," Turner smiled, "my job is done. I can finally rest, knowing that the children of Earth will surpass anything we accomplished." The holographic captain began to fade, but his final words echoed through the bridge. "Remember, Captain Morgan, legends are not born, they are earned. And humanity has earned the right to write the next chapter of galactic history." As Turner's image disappeared forever, Morgan looked out at the alien ships surrounding the graveyard. Representatives of dozens of civilizations were waiting to hear humanity's decision about the future of the galaxy. "Atlas," she said, "open a channel to all ships." "Channel open, Captain." Morgan took a deep breath and spoke words that would be remembered for thousands of years. "This is Captain Beth Morgan of the United Earth Services. On behalf of humanity, I accept your recognition of our species as a galactic power. But we do not seek to rule over you. We seek to stand beside you as equals, working together to build a galaxy where all species can thrive." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Alien ships throughout the star system activated their communication systems, broadcasting messages of agreement and support in dozens of different languages. Dr. Grant smiled as she recorded the moment. "Captain, I think you just founded the first truly inclusive galactic alliance in history." Morgan nodded, looking out at the stars that no longer seemed so distant or dangerous. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as the species that reminded everyone what was possible when people refused to surrender their dreams. The battle above the forgotten grave was over, but the legend it had awakened would continue to inspire the galaxy for generations to come. And somewhere in the graveyard of humanity's ancient enemies, Atlas continued its eternal watch, ready to remind anyone who might forget that some legends never truly die. They just wait for the right moment to show the universe what humanity is really capable of achieving.